don't listen to Klaviyo. Like any setting that
Oh,
Klaviyo like
dude, no.
automatically turns on,
Yeah.
just do the opposite, you know? I estimate that pretty quickly we'll see an extra $1 million at least be added on to this brand's top line revenue. With these high OV brands, oftentimes the frequency of purchase is very low. So
hmm
you can't give up the margin on the front end because there is no chance of a huge wave of people doing a repeat purchase.
20,000 to like 47,000 a month on a welcome flow, like just from one singular flow.
Communication still going. You got Shopify order confirmations and shipping confirmations, and then you're trying to sell them a cross-sell product. It's like
Yeah.
just
Yeah.
include it in some of the post-purchase emails and get the cross-sell thing out of here. Like that's just too much.
All right. Welcome back, everybody, to the best email marketing channel on the entire platform. My name is Philip. I am joined today, a little bit of a different style of episode, with my co-founder, actually, Connor. So we run Social Scout. We are one of the highest quality email marketing agencies for e-commerce brands in the space. We actively manage over $20 million a month in e-commerce revenue. So Connor, thanks for joining. Obviously, we talk a lot off camera pretty much every day. We run a business together, but I wanted to bring you on and just kind of chat a little bit about like the current landscape of email right now, just e-commerce in general, and kind of give people some insight as to like what we see on a daily basis and kind of like what our clients see. So I guess first off, just like give an intro to the people because it's the first time you've been on the channel. So yeah.
Yeah, no, thanks. I'm honored to be on the channel today, actually. Like you said, I am Philip's business partner. I do all things fulfillment at Social Scout. I manage an amazing team of email marketers, designers, Klaviyo technicians, and together, like you said, we're managing, over $20 million a month in e-commerce revenue. I think with email alone, I don't have the exact figure, but we're doing millions a month in email attributed revenue. Um, you know, Started it with you 3 years ago, and it's really cool to see how fast things have grown. And it's basic background on my kind of job.
Yeah, I love it. I love it. First time on the channel, giving the people a little intro. So I love it. But
Yeah.
yeah, I have some questions that we'll just kind of run through. And I don't anticipate it being like an interview per se, but we'll just kind of like talk about the different talking points and whatnot. So the first one that I thought of that I thought would be interesting to like chat about on like a recording for other people to kind of hear is what is kind of something that like when you're in an account, right, and we sign a brand for the first time, they go through our onboarding, like what is something that our clients typically think is like a very big deal or something that they really want done, but we know as email marketers who have been doing this for a while that like it just doesn't do anything. Like, you know what I mean? Like
Yeah,
what are
yeah,
those
yeah.
things that people kind of ask for? Because I know we chat about them sometimes.
Yeah, no, this is a great question. I've done a lot of onboarding calls with different brands. I think the most common thing that myself and our team run into when managing expectations with clients is segmentation when it comes to campaign sending. Um, everyone, not everyone, but a large majority of clients come to us and they know that they have a problem with their segments they are sending campaigns to. And they are correct when they say that. Often people are sending to their whole list, which is really bad for deliverability, or they're sending to a really small group and they can expand that way more. Nonetheless, though, they think it's way more complicated than it actually is. And there are a lot of complicated and technical things we do here at Social Scout. But being fully transparent, segment strategy for campaigns is something that right off the bat isn't very complicated. Usually clients are thinking we're, doing these advanced segments like double espresso shot. They have all these like fancy names, 30-day engaged, non-buyers, all this crazy stuff. To boil it down, often we just find the best segments to send to is a simple 60-day or 90-day engaged segment. And the definition of that is just can receive email marketing and has opened or clicked an email in the last 60 or 90 days. The reason you do both of those is because sometimes Klaviyo tracking is off and it says someone clicked an email, but it doesn't record them opening. So that's why you do clicked or open. But
hmm
yeah, I think just to answer your question, I know it's kind of long-winded, but people, expect all this fancy stuff. And when they see us sending to just a 90-day engaged segment, excluding, the basic stuff like buyers, recent buyers, and, bounced email addresses, they're a little confused, but then they see the results come in and it's like, wow,
hmm
like it's really not that complicated.
Yeah, 100%. And I obviously hear it all the time when I talk to them, like on the front end. And I feel like just
Hmm.
in general, like in the e-commerce space, people just have this like idea of email marketing being like ultra complicated and technical and like I mean it can get like that for sure. I mean, once an account is like fully onboarded and like things are really running smoothly, like yeah, you get pretty complex with it.
Hmm.
But like when you're an account that's not doing good and you're just trying to get to that point where like you're really in a solid spot, like you don't that stuff doesn't really apply,
Yeah.
you know?
No, no,
Yeah.
no. We have a brand that just recently started. They're at like 10% attributed revenue,
Hmm.
like which is not great. Ideally we want to be in the high 30s at least, maybe into the 40s and 50s if the audience and
Yeah.
brand is right. And they're asking about all these different, campaign segments that, they should be doing and that we can implement for them. And we're like, you
Hmm.
know, we can do this and we can do this in month two, three, four, and so on. But the start, you need to get the basics right. You need to get
Yeah.
your six flows. I'm not sure if you've talked about the six flows in this channel, but that just being the welcome flow, site abandonment, browse abandonment, cart abandonment, checkout abandonment, and then the post purchase. That's where
Hmm.
you're going to see 80% of the revenue come from if you nail those. And you just need to send, 2 to 4 campaigns a week that are really good. And, that's where
Yeah.
you're going to see your attributed revenue go from 10% of total store revenue to like 30s and 40s. It's not by doing advanced segment stuff.
Hmm.
Um, and just to go off on that some more, with these brands, before you even touch the advanced segments and you're sending very personalized campaigns, do it to the flows first. If you do it to the flows, you're going to have that there forever. Let's say you have 2 or 3 customer buckets that you want to personalize their experience with different campaigns. Like you want one, segment to get this campaign, you want another to get this campaign.
Hmm.
Do that for your cart and checkout and welcome flow first. Because that's going to be evergreen. That's going to be with you forever. Campaign, you're putting in all this work and you get the payoff for just one event, one campaign. And it's hard to even tell if it, made a big difference or not.
Yeah, 1,000%. No, I mean I couldn't agree more. And I want to kind of segue into this next question that I want to ask. And people who are subscribed, like at this point in time, have probably, I mean, I'm referencing this, and you watch all my videos. Like I'm referencing this in every single video.
Yeah.
So I already know what you're gonna say, obviously. Just but just to ask
Yeah,
it,
yeah, yeah.
if you could give a brand one piece of advice, like one piece of advice, if you could go into an account and touch one thing only, and then leave to have the highest possible impact, like what would it be? I know what you're gonna say, but like what would it be for people watching?
It's the pop-up form. It's the pop-up form. I've seen a few I've seen a few videos you made on it, and it's so true. So many brands, again, they're just caught up on the wrong things. They're caught up on the segments they're sending their campaigns to. They're caught up of how long their abandoned cart flow should be, or the time delays in their welcome flow. Like that stuff all is important. Don't get me wrong. But the most important thing, and the thing that you should spend so much effort on, especially when you're taking on a new account and you're trying to set it up correctly, is the pop-up form. Like we are testing that every single week for brands we onboard until it's dialed in.
Yeah.
And it's so important because nowadays ads are so expensive. A majority of brands we work with, they're all running some sort of paid marketing, whether that be through Google, Meta, other platforms. And if you have a terrible pop up, that money is just going down the drain. You're like a
Yeah.
bucket and there's just holes all around it and you're just leaking out of all sides.
Hmm.
So, high converting pop up is the backbone of an email strategy and where you
Yeah.
get the most juice or most squeeze for your juice. I don't know the saying,
I
but
get what you're
you get what I'm
saying.
saying.
Yeah, I know what you
Yeah,
mean. I
yeah,
know
yeah.
what you mean.
The juice is worth the squeeze. I think
The
that's
juice
it.
is worth this. That's where the yeah. I don't know how to say it either,
Yeah,
but yeah,
yeah.
no. Everyone knows what we mean, but no, 1,000%. And like we have some crazy, like I've shown a lot of them on the channel, but honestly, I
Oh,
should show more of them. We have some crazy case studies of literally like first month. I mean, I actually showed one in one of my recent videos. I think yeah, 20,000 to like 47,000 a month on a welcome flow, like just from one singular flow. And a
mhm.
huge piece of that was just the sign up form. Like obviously we redid the flows and obviously the structure was
Mhm.
cleaned up and the content was cleaned up, but like yeah, man, like crazy
Bro,
how yeah.
I tell all of our account executives here at Social Scout all the time in team meetings every single day that we could provide an ROI for our clients and just be a pop-up agency. Like
Yeah,
all
literally.
we would like no design, no like playing around with the email structure. Obviously you get all that when you work with us and we
Hmm.
do a bunch of stuff for our clients. But if we worked with a brand, we only touched their pop-up, they would still get an amazing
A crazy
ROI for our
ROI.
service.
Yeah.
Like at least a 15x for what their monthly rate is to the value we bring their retention marketing. And it's literally just because the pop-up. That's how important it is. Like we could
Hmm.
just touch the pop-up and instantly justify, the cost of Social Scout, our services, and they'd be with us for months,
Yeah.
because of it.
Yeah. Yeah. So going into that, what makes a good pop up? Just rapid fire, we don't got to
Oh,
get too
yeah,
into the
yeah,
weeds because
yeah.
I have tons of content. But like, what makes a good form?
Yeah, 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 yeah. No, for sure, for sure. A good offer is the most important part of a pop-up. That could be a 10% off or just any percent off, dollar off of your high AOV brand. If you don't want to do like, giving away margin on every product, you can do a cash back on your next order. I've seen that work really well for actually big e-commerce brands. I believe Dr. Squatch does something like that.
Hmm.
Giveaways, raffles, that works really well. If you want to even give up less product and you don't even want to give up any product, let's say you're ultra high ticket, doing some sort of guide. We manage an actual I'd say pretty much all of our clients are B2C, but we do have one B2B client. They're selling like they sell like
Hmm.
lifeguard equipment to like big lifeguard towers and stuff, like multi-thousand-dollar things. They don't want to give them any margin, so we
Yeah.
sell like guides for training lifeguards, as like the offer on the pop-up, and it works really well.
Hmm.
You're not going to get as good of a submission rate as you will for 10% off or something like that, but you're still getting that submission rate, than just the basic like Klaviyo template of sign up for the latest updates and new product drops. Like no one cares about that.
No
So
one
that's
cares.
that's number one. Keep your targeting very simple. Don't get too fancy with it.
No,
Just
no scroll
target.
parameters, please. No scroll parameters. Like just straight
No,
time delay.
just do a time delay. Often anywhere from 4 to 12 seconds works best. Um, Always having a teaser. That's another good one to make a really solid form. And typically, we also see a very high success rate with having some sort of pre-engagement or micro commitment. I've heard people call it, either or.
Yeah.
Just a step before you ask for their email and have that like email input field on the pop-up, because it's kind of like a pattern interrupt. Everyone goes on the
Hmm.
site, they see this like email input box, and they just click out. They don't even half the time they don't even read the pop-up.
Yeah.
So having like a micro commitment or a pre-engagement step before you actually ask for something from them is just a really good way to kind of like differentiate yourself from other brands.
Yeah. Yeah. Thousand
Yeah.
percent. And I have so much content on sign up forms. Like we're nerds about
Did,
and
did I did I miss anything? I know you're a pop-up form expert.
we didn't miss anything. I would just say like the most important thing is the testing. Like I mean I tell everybody that I talk
Oh,
with, every brand owner I talk with, like we're nerds about the testing because like some of this stuff, like
yeah.
there are general things that will work across brands. Like obviously we know that. Like we could
Mhm.
go into any brand and build like we could just figure out like okay, we're gonna build this form and I guarantee it'll double their current submission rate. Like we just kind of have that sense at this point. But also like we can get it way higher if you're just testing it constantly. And every brand is different when it comes to that. So like yeah.
Mhm.
And I've talked so in depth
No,
about that. Yeah.
no, no. And, it's important to know that the principles I just listed off, they are like our first bet. Like if we start with a new
Yeah.
brand, we are doing micro commitment. We are, going to have a teaser. We're going to phrase the offer probably as a mystery discount. We've seen
Yeah.
work really well.
Hmm.
But that's not the case for every single brand, and that's why you need a specialist managing these things for you. Is we took on a brand last week, and we went with our standard, micro commitment, mystery discount, and that actually performed worse than the just straight offer of 10%
Hmm.
off, instead, because we ran an A/B test, and that's why we run the test. Is because
Hmm.
it's not always 100%. Every brand is unique. The traffic you're bringing in will respond differently to offers, and it's just always important to be testing that and pushing it forward. You know, we could take on a brand and their form could be at 4%. Our first crack might get it up to 6 or 7%. But if we keep testing it, I guarantee you we can get it up to 8, 9, 10% over the course of
Hmm.
a few months.
Yeah, yeah, 100%. No, and you can't unlock. It's like you're not unlocking this revenue if you're not sitting in there and just running these tests constantly. Which I
Yeah.
always tell people, like, not to like hard pitch our service. So sorry guys, but like a big part of it is like, yeah, we're gonna make you a lot more money just from our expertise because we literally have been in 50 over 50 accounts. But also, like, we're just doing this for you. Like, you're not gonna have to sit inside of Klaviyo and send campaigns and test things and come up with different, like. So that's what I always
Hmm.
tell people. But okay, cool. Let me go to the next topic. So I wanted to cover this. We just very recently, actually, like within a couple days ago, signed a very prominent brand in the e-commerce space, doing $5-6 million a month. So realistically, I mean, you and I both know the answer to this, but how much revenue are we going to add to their business? Like seriously, and what are our first moves?
Ooh,
Just on the
yeah.
chessboard.
Great question. Great question. Yeah, so this is a nine-figure, $100 million a year brand, and I would call it a unicorn in the sense that they have no email marketing, which is
Yeah.
very rare. We often will run into brands in the 50K range that have no email marketing. We've
Mm-hmm.
seen it once or twice, a brand that has no email marketing at like two, 300K a month,
Yeah, yeah,
but never I've come across a brand, I know you too, Philip, that's been doing nine figures a year with no email marketing. So
yeah.
um,
And they know.
very,
They
very,
know like how much revenue this is about to, like, they're you know what I mean? Everyone's on the same
and you
page.
need
Like,
to be doing email. You need to be doing email
yeah.
nowadays, especially with the cost of ads. Just it costs pennies on the dollar to send an email versus get someone to your site via a retargeting campaign on Meta, for example, versus just nurturing them through email. So anyway, that's besides the point. How much money are we going to make this brand? A lot. That's the short answer. Um, I typically see when we start with a brand with no email marketing, the first month, you see it take that initial leap, but it's not super noticeable in the top line revenue.
Hmm.
Month 2 and 3, then you get those big jumps in like the actual store revenue, the top line revenue.
Yeah.
So they're making $5 to $6 million a month through their D2C e-commerce store. The traffic quality is very good. I anticipate the account being able to be in that 40% plus range because some accounts you just can't get to that. They just have different
Yeah.
traffic. You can't get them to 40% plus attributed revenue of total store. But this
Yeah.
one is definitely one of those. Um, I think month 2 and 3 for sure it will be $2 million plus in attributed email revenue just every single month, just based on the systems and the campaign sending that we'll be doing. In terms
Hmm.
of top line revenue, you probably won't see all the attributed revenue be added on to the top line revenue. And what I mean by
Yeah.
that is, as email marketers, it's also important to know that email isn't the only thing that makes people convert, and we don't want to take credit for all the revenue. If you see in Klaviyo, $100,000 was generated through email. If you didn't do emails in the e-commerce brand, like you wouldn't lose that whole 100,000, but a
Yeah.
big chunk of it is from
Yeah.
just pure email. It's
Hmm.
just different for every brand. So I estimate that pretty quickly we'll see an extra $1 million at least, very minimum, be added on to this brand's top line revenue. So, they're doing 5 million right now. Instantly, within month 2, I could see them doing 6 million purely from email from our service. And
Yeah.
oof, I'm already excited for Black Friday for this one because
Oh my God, it's
with
gonna
a
be
list,
ridiculous.
they have a list of over 1 million people. Those Black Friday campaigns they're gonna print, like they are gonna
Oh.
go crazy. I'm sure we'll get some really good screenshots of just campaigns doing like six figures a pop.
Yeah. Oh, 100%. And I'll be posting those like candy. But
Yeah.
yeah, yeah, no, 100%. And we could make a whole separate, we should honestly make a whole nother video for Black Friday strategies because I know that's like we're going to start preparing for that in the next coming weeks or so because it's not like
Mm.
again, we could talk all about this, but it's not like a start 2 weeks before type of thing. Like it's
We need to do a whole Black Friday video because yeah, we could
yeah,
both talk for an hour on Black Friday
yeah,
prep.
yeah, yeah. But we'll save that for another time. But no, yeah, I wanted to bring that up because and also about the attribution, right? Like I always tell people, like for example, I posted the other day a screenshot in a YouTube video of one of our clients pulling in 70% of their business from Klaviyo, like attributed revenue of 70%. And
Yeah.
that doesn't necessarily mean, again, like you said, if they weren't doing email, that 70% of their revenue would have been gone. But I always tell people like that means email is a huge touch point in like how these people are getting to checkout and purchasing with you. You know, like it plays a huge role, and you're taking up that much real estate in their minds. So it's kind of hard to
Hmm.
tell. Like if we didn't do any email, where would they have been? I know for a fact, and you know too, a lot lower. But I mean, they wouldn't have lost all of the 70%. You
Yeah,
know?
I think a great, metric that we prepare for all of our clients, who are concerned about attribution is playing around with the actual attribution models in Klaviyo because Klaviyo allows you to do that in the settings, and you're
Mm-hmm.
able to lower and create a scenario of your ideal attribution window. So Klaviyo operates in a 5-day click open window, meaning if someone opens an email and then purchases 4 days later, it's attributed to that email.
Mm-hmm.
That's a little generous. Personally, like, if you open an email 4 days ago and you make a purchase, like, was it really because of the email? Most likely not.
Yeah.
Maybe it had some sway, but there was definitely probably a meta ad or something that also pushed you over the fence. Besides the
Mm-hmm.
point, you know, you can then lower that window down to, let's say, a 12 hour click open. And that's super accurate where that's people, who are opening your emails and then within a few hours they're purchasing. I often
Mm-hmm.
like to look at that one to kind of gauge like, okay, how much, revenue are we really, really, really driving from Klaviyo? You have to
Yeah.
understand the platform itself, Klaviyo, they want to, appear like they're making you as much money as possible. So that attribution window is, set up a little generously for Klaviyo. So,
Mm-hmm.
if you really want to know where the numbers are coming from, just playing around with the models, the time frames, it's really, really helpful.
Yeah. Yeah. Love it. Cool. Next question. So, kind of a more abstract one, but I thought that people would like this
Yeah.
one. So, what changed most in email marketing over the last 12 to like 18 months, so like a year and a half? And specifically, like how should brands be adapting to that? Like what's changed and how should brands kind of fit into that?
Ooh, what's changed the most? You know, I'm gonna take the time frame of this question. I'm gonna expand it a little bit. It still
Okay.
applies to 12 to 18 months, but if you look at e-commerce, 4 or 5 years ago in 2020, 2021 during COVID, versus now, it's so saturated and so competitive. In 2020, 2021, you still had to, run a really good type business, but it was so much easier to, pick up traction, with Facebook. Costs of ads were much cheaper than they are now. And
Mm-hmm.
a lot of businesses were succeeding. The barrier to entry was pretty low. Fast forward to today,
Mm-hmm.
to be a successful e-commerce business, you have to have everything dialed in. You need a killer ad strategy, you need killer creatives, you need a great social presence, you need a fantastic website that's optimized for conversion rates. And the same thing goes for email. I think in the last 18 months, we were, operating like this too, I'd say 2 years ago. We would send a lot of emails just with an image block built in Klaviyo, and then, a native text block under it, put a button, all built in Klaviyo, and the
Mm-hmm.
email would go crazy. It'd print, great click
Yeah.
rate, great engagement, you weren't seeing any drop off in results. Nowadays, you need your designs and you need the look of your content to be phenomenal. Like you need to be,
Yeah.
like stand out compared to all your competitors because nowadays the whole online, ecosystem is so, polished, or at least the people that are winning, like short
Mm-hmm.
form, all these short form videos that are blowing up. They're so well done with the hooks, the colors, the audio that stimulates, I'm going to throw this example out there, like Ashton Hall. Not that this has anything to do with like email marketing, but you look at his content and it's like
Yeah.
this guy blew up because his hooks, the audio, the visuals, just so stimulating. That's what it takes to win nowadays. You need like your content to be so much better than everyone else's. And so the same thing goes for email. You can't just send like frankly like just low effort emails that are built in Klaviyo with text blocks and a single hero graphic at the top. Like you need like artfully designed emails that not only look good and are eye catching and kind of release dopamine when someone like opens it, but
Hmm.
also convert well, following those basic email principles of like great text hierarchy, button above the fold, clear call to actions, that sort of thing. So I think that's what's changed most is, the level of design you need to succeed in email marketing now is much higher than it was 18 months ago.
Yeah, yeah, 1000%. I mean, I always tell people when I'm talking to them, you know, like e-commerce email marketing, it's almost like you're like it's graphic design at the end of the day. You know what I mean? Like obviously there's a lot that goes into like
Yeah,
the overall
you can
strategy.
look at it like Social Scout. We are pretty much a graphic design agency.
Yeah.
There's a lot of
Yeah.
strategy, but a majority of our team is graphic designers.
Yeah. Yeah, because they're so important and it carries the results. Like we've I mean, we can show tons of A/B tests that we've ran on accounts where it's like there's a noticeable difference in revenue and conversion rate, click rate, like everything off of just putting buttons in different spots or having different colors in the emails and so it's kind of funny how people I guess like overlook it. But yeah, we've seen it firsthand. So 100%. I wanted to ask about that. A question that kind of popped into my head from something you said. I forgot exactly where I came to this, but I wanted to ask you.
Hmm.
I love talking about this, and we talk a lot about this, you and I, together, like all the time.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
So, what is the difference in email strategy for a low ticket brand versus a high ticket brand? And then after that, too, not to complicate things, we could also, because I know we're
Yeah,
like nerds, we could talk about email marketing for consumables and replenishment type of stuff. Like let's talk about that after. But what's the difference between low
yeah,
ticket and
yeah,
high ticket? Low AOV, high AOV.
yeah, yeah. No, great question, great question. So we have a few like high AOV brands, um, 1,000 to 5,000 kind of range, average order value. And the main difference there is just understanding the decision cycle for these products.
Yeah.
You're not selling like a $10 fidget spinner. It's not a TikTok shop product.
Hmm.
And so with these lower ticket brands, you should be really aggressive within the first few days of acquiring an email address. Say someone claims a 10% pop-up, discount on your pop-up. You should hammer them every single day with a reminder to use that because you're going to lose them if they don't convert in the first. Usually it's just like 3 days. Otherwise the
Hmm.
address has a way less likelihood of converting. These higher
Yeah.
ticket brands, you have to flip that a little bit. It's not about getting them to convert in the first day or two. You will get some conversions there, but it's about expanding the customer journey, um, taking into account that the decision cycle is much, much longer. So, you know, a much longer welcome flow. We build welcome flows that are usually 6 to 8 emails for, your normal AOV brand. For higher AOV brands, we go from anywhere from like 12 to 16 emails. And
Hmm.
that's, done over a way longer course of time. There's like 3 or 4 day delays between some of the emails. This is a flow that takes, you know, 3 to 4 weeks, you know,
Yeah.
and it's because that you just need to provide people with so much value and education about the product that they are
Hmm.
looking at that they feel comfortable making a decision and have you top of mind when they are ready to convert. It's not
Yeah.
like you could sell them in one single email to make that decision to buy this high product. On top of that, high AOV products or stores, they usually don't give a 10% off discount. So you're just
Yeah.
not going to see the conversions off the first welcome email like you would, with a really low AOV brand.
Yeah. Yeah. And I also think that the I mean, everything you said 100%. And then just like the philosophy and how you think about email marketing is totally different, right? Like when you're dealing with, a low ticket brand, with like a low AOV, like, yeah, like a fidget spinner, like a little gadget or something, like your main
Hmm.
idea there, especially if it's something where like your LTV can be drawn out, like you're just trying to get these people in, like you're just trying to get them in and then extend their LTV on the back end. Like that's what you're trying to do. A lot of like, consumables, for example, will give away a lot of their margin in the pop up, something really aggressive just to kind of get these
Yeah.
people in their ecosystem and get them in and, that type of thing. So, yeah, no, that makes 100%
Yeah.
sense.
I'll just one quick point I want to interrupt, but with these high OV brands, oftentimes the frequency of purchase is very low. The
Yeah.
customer lifetime value is probably the price just a little bit more than like, the hero product, which is like in the $1,000 range. So
Hmm.
you can't give up the margin on the front end because there is no like chance of a huge wave of people doing a repeat purchase. So you
Yeah.
need to convert these people at full price so you can save the margin. So that's the difference in
Yeah.
thinking there.
Yeah. Yeah. 100%. 100%. Cool. Moving on. Moving on. Um, what is we may have already kind of covered this, but I wrote it before we got in the convo. What is the most
Yeah.
common thing that you see in our clients' accounts, like when we first sign them, that's costing them a lot of money without them really realizing it? Like they're blind to it. Like, what is it, would you say?
Mm. Mm. Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of
Stumped you.
things, and yeah, no, I mean, a lot. I'm trying to give you something that we didn't talk about because often they
Yeah.
just like aren't prioritizing their pop up. I mean, this is the
Yeah.
biggest thing. I'm like
Yeah.
obsessed with pop ups. I know, like we keep talking about them, but like
Yeah.
that's
People are
like the
like, dude,
biggest.
stop talking about the pop-ups.
Yeah, yeah. Something different that I do see often people doing, and it's like destroying their email marketing, is two things. One is smart sending on all campaigns and
Oh, dude.
flows, and I'll explain that in a little bit. And then the second thing is I hate those automatic Klaviyo things that they apply on campaigns, which are automatic follow-ups and reputation repair.
Yeah.
So to touch on smart sending first, this is a feature that Klaviyo auto turns on for all flows and often campaigns as well that will skip recently emailed profiles within like 48 hours or 72 hours. I think I've seen it different per account. I think you can change it, but the moral of the story is if a profile was emailed in the last couple of days, it will just skip them from the campaign. And inherently that's really bad because oftentimes people are, triggering an on-site event, they're going through a cart flow, so we want to be more aggressive. Like if someone abandoned their cart, like let's send them an email 2 days in a row. Like that's totally fine.
Yeah.
And brands have this turned on and they're just skipping these people and they're letting them go. They're letting them off the hook. And then by the time smart sending wears off and the next email triggers, it's too late. Like they don't care. They bought from a competitor. And
Hmm.
so we've turned this off. Like again, no changing the design, no changing any other variable, just purely turning off this like one like little lever in Klaviyo
Hmm.
and flows will just do 20-30% better just because of
Yeah.
that.
Hmm.
And then, when you also send campaigns in Klaviyo, they have this feature where it lets them do like AI reputation repair. It pretty much just skips a lot of people on the list you're sending to. And if like you're sending to a good segment, like what I talked about at the beginning of the video, like a 60 or 90-day segment, you don't want that. Like you're just going to skip a lot of people who are potential buyers, and the campaign is just going to do way worse. And then I
Hmm.
hate the follow-ups as well. The Klaviyo recommended follow-ups. Um, Whenever you have those on, it will just send the same campaign to anyone who didn't open it. And you're just
Hmm.
going to get like a terrible open rate on that second campaign, and it's going to make no revenue. And now your open rate, now you just are sending more emails to people who already don't open them. And you're getting like these 20% open rates that are like trashing your deliverability. And it's just not a great thing. So, moral of the story is biggest mistake that brands are doing, don't listen to Klaviyo. Like any setting that
Oh,
Klaviyo like
dude, don't.
automatically turns on,
Yeah.
just do the opposite.
Yeah, 100%. And it's funny, like Klaviyo, even their benchmarks are like not they're not right at all. I mean, like, we'll go into an account, and not to bring it back to the sign up form, but like you'll look at
Yeah.
the submit rate on the sign up form. It'll say 5.2% before we touch anything. And Klaviyo is saying excellent. Like that's not
Yeah, yeah,
excellent. Like
yeah.
that's a bad that's not a it's not a bad sign up form, but it's not a good sign up form like by any means. Like we could double
Yeah.
it. So yeah, it's
I
funny. And
think I think
also,
the other
yeah,
yeah, no, no. I don't want to cut you off. You go.
I was going to start a whole other thing. So yeah, go ahead.
No, I was gonna say the other benchmark that like really like angers me that Klaviyo gives is the open rate benchmark. I think anything
Yeah.
above 40% open rates, they're like patting you on the back like,
Yeah,
oh,
yeah,
this is
yeah.
excellent, like great job. Like we don't like to see any of our clients open rates go below 50%. If you're
Yeah.
touching in the 40s, like high 40s, like it's okay, but you should keep an eye
Yeah.
on it. But if you're like 45%, like you're starting to like seriously, get into that danger zone of like ending up in spam
Yeah.
and creating that snowball effect where you just end up in more spams the next send, less people open it, so you end up in more spams and so on. So I like to keep it
Uh-huh.
at 50%.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think the flip side of that too because obviously I'm doing a lot of audits, and
Yeah.
I'll be talking to brand owners and they'll have like 75% open rates and they're like, our open rates are amazing, like we're doing so good. And I'm like, I mean, yeah, but at the same time it's like you're like you're just missing out on all these people to send to. Like if there's kind of a fine balance there, right? Like you don't want to
Yeah,
have
yeah, yeah.
80% open rates and have a bunch of people just sitting there not being touched when you could just have maybe slightly lower open rates, 55, 60%, and touch more
No,
people.
yes. Okay. Not to take us off on a tangent here, but like we're talking about open rates. This is just great stuff here. Really valuable stuff. You want your open rates to be between 50 and 60%. Like that is
Yeah.
the range. We don't want them higher, we don't want them lower. So if you're a brand that's getting 75% open rates, send to your whole list if you're sending to
Hmm.
like a 120-day gate. I know I said before, like don't send to your whole list, but if you're getting 75, just send to everyone, and see what happens. We want to find that equilibrium where we're at like a 50% open rate. And if you're sending to a 60-day engage segment and you're still getting 30% open rates, you have a major deliverability problem. And you need to like tighten that segment to like a 30-day, or in that case, I would even do like a 14-day engaged segment just to get people who've only opened your emails in the last 2 weeks.
Yeah, yeah, 100%. No, I see that all the time, and it's like it's funny, kind of, seeing that because yeah, it's a fine balance, but 100%. Cool. Okay. And one that I wanted to ask you about because this is something that comes up a lot too with our clients. Like a lot of our clients ask us about this, and obviously we print revenue for them with this as well. But
Hmm.
SMS, right? SMS. So like email and
Yeah.
SMS, obviously we do both. We're phenomenal at both. One of the best in the industry, I might add. Um, where does SMS fit into like the strategy, right? Like, yeah,
Yeah,
just
yeah,
explain
yeah.
that. I'll leave it open. Yeah.
No, no, great question. Great question. Yeah, so SMS really shouldn't be overdone. It's really important to just have that balance with it. SMS, when you look at it, let's just break it down. It's very direct. There's no pictures unless you use MMS, and I'll get to that in a second. And you just don't have a lot of characters to play around with. So content that involves like nurturing, education around a product, a blog post, email, whatever it is, don't send that in SMS. Like no one's going to click on it. You're not going to be able to communicate it in like the small amount of characters you get. And you don't want to be sending multiple text messages. If you go over the character limit, a lot of times in like Klaviyo, Attentive, other platforms as well, they will let you send your message, but then it will come through as two texts. And now you just use two credits, which is not ideal. So
Hmm.
SMS, it's way more intrusive. So you're going to get a way higher unsubscribe rate on it. It's also way more expensive than email. So you need to be very intentional of how you use it and how many SMS you're sending. And those are the two kind of main limitations of it. So when creating an SMS strategy for our clients, we often only send one SMS per week. And if there's like a sale or an event, maybe we'll send two or three, but that's a very rare thing. Mainly, we're just doing once a week. You got to have some urgency in there, very direct, call to action. We don't often use much emojis in them because that takes up character count. We
Hmm.
never use MMS because that's going to count as multiple SMS credits,
Yeah.
and that's going to raise our clients' bills way too much to where it's not even profitable to send an SMS text
Hmm.
message.
Yeah.
Um, and again, because the unsubscribe rates are really high, only sending it once per week. So that's our kind of guiding principles on that. With the flows, again, if your welcome flow has 8 emails, your text messages in that flow should be, either two or three, and
Yeah.
just be like, hey, use your 10% off code. Nothing
Hmm.
crazy like that.
Yeah. Speaking about clients' bills, we are oftentimes we'll get into to accounts and like completely lower their bill. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
I'm thinking of 10 clients right now where we went into their account and their bill like just chopped it in half
Yeah.
almost. Like I'm thinking of one, their bill was, you probably know who I'm talking about, $6,000 a
We have
month, and
some,
we
yeah, we have some
yeah.
crazy bill stories, like some horror stories. I know that when you
Yeah.
audit them, you're like, what the heck?
Yeah,
Like.
yeah. And it's like they're just completely overpaying, like paying double. They're paying like sometimes like 20, 30 grand extra a year, depending on the size of their account. And it's like, dude, like what are you doing? You know what I mean? So like,
Yeah,
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 like
yeah.
chat about that. Like what? like for someone watching, because obviously we're speaking mainly to e-commerce owners right now, 7, 8 figure e-commerce owners, 9 figure e-commerce owners. Like, what besides hiring us, because obviously that would do it quicker and you'd get a better ROI. But what, like, how do you think about the bill? Like, how can you lower it? What are you supposed to do? And yeah,
Yeah,
just chat about that. Yeah.
we've executed on this a few times with some pretty cool success stories. Last week we finished the kind of list cleaning and we lowered someone's bill by $1,000 a month, which was $12,000 a year in savings, which is pretty
Hmm.
awesome. That one account was a very special account. They had a crazy amount of profiles that just like were dead pretty much on their list. They were paying like no joke an extra like $24,000 a year in bills. So like we pretty much just like paid for our service, like
Yeah.
just by
Yeah.
lowering their bill, or a good chunk of it. Um, we have another client who just got onboarded and they're sending campaigns to 30,000 people and they have 230,000 people they're paying for. Their bill's like 2 grand a month
Yeah.
and they are sending campaigns to like 30K people. It's like, oh my gosh, there's something seriously wrong here. So besides the point, what to do if you have a huge
And
bill problem?
not to cut you off, but I want to add in like what I hear a lot is I think people they know that they have this problem, but like they don't really know like where to start or like how to clean it effectively without like kind of screwing things up in the account, you
Yeah,
know? So
yeah,
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 not to
yeah.
cut you off. Yeah.
No, 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 no. That's a great point. So if we can engage every single profile, so let's say you have 200,000 profiles in your list and you're paying like Klaviyo $2,000 per month for your bill. It's about what it is, give or take. If you can send to all 100,000 people on your list and have majority of them, like 60% of them, open your emails and you're generating good revenue from your campaigns, there is not a problem there. I know your bill's really high, and that's unfortunate that it's $2,000 per month. But the fortunate part of that is that you have a list of 100,000 engaged people that, if done right, you can monetize these people and well pay for your bill. It's well worth. If a client has a $6,000 bill and we can send to all $6,000 a month worth of profiles, let's do it. We're going to make them so much money. The problem is when you have all these profiles and 100,000 of them just aren't engaged, you know? And so what you need to do to make your bill smaller and to at the same time make an educated decision of who to suppress and to kick out of your bill and who to keep in your like core segment is you need to send to all of the profiles on your list and look at the engagement data. If there's a certain group of profiles that just hasn't opened an email repeatedly after you opening them, then suppress them. And oftentimes you'll find a big part of your bill that you can just kind of cancel out by doing that. And this is kind of the more specialized approach that we take with our brands. And this is a little bit more technical for me to get like into right now. But if you have a segment of 30,000 engaged people that you're sending to, and you're trying to determine if your whole list of 200,000 people should be kept or suppressed, you can't send to all 200,000 people. Like, do not do that. That's a huge no-no because you are going to cook your deliverability. One, because a big chunk of those people just aren't going to open emails. And two, if you go from sending 30,000, like you're sending to me, to sending to 200,000, that's a huge red flag for inbox providers like Google, Yahoo, Gmail, etc. So what you need to do is create sample sizes and get really specific with the segments that you create and then create like sample sizes. So if you have this core group of 30,000 people, you might want to take a sample size of your blue ocean of 200,000 profiles that haven't been touched in a while and add another like 15, 20,000 into your segment and see what happens. And just do that slowly and work your way through the whole 200,000 chunk that there's no data on. So I know that's a little bit more complicated, but short answer is you need to send to all the profiles, the ones that don't open your emails repeatedly, suppress them, and oftentimes you can reduce the bill a ton.
Yeah, yeah, 100%. And I think it's good we're talking about this because although we didn't get super technical, but I think people honestly like they just don't know where to start. Like I said, with that type of stuff, so that probably
Hmm.
helps a lot in getting these people to like really kind of take action on that. Um, I mean, I do also find that like, I mean, every business owner, but especially like for some reason in the e-commerce space, like people are just stretched very thin, you know?
Hmm.
So
Yeah.
there's also
Yeah.
like the time aspect of it. Like it is, yeah. But no, that makes total sense. I wanted to do a little rapid fire here, a little like just kind of going off the dome. So just, I'm gonna ask you
Yeah.
a couple questions. Give me like not just a yes or no, like give me a little bit more, but like don't go off on like huge tangents, you know? Like just give me like a short answer and we'll keep going.
Ooh,
I have like
okay.
7 or so questions.
I got to get ready
Okay.
for this. This is
So high stakes, man. High
emojis.
stakes.
Yeah.
Okay. The people are watching, man. The people are they're counting on you. Anyways, okay.
Yeah.
So emojis and subject lines, love or hate?
Uh, hate them for most sends. You know, maybe once in a blue moon it's okay, but most of the time hate them.
Okay. Okay, we'll go with that. Discount emails, necessary or like brand equity killers? Like what do you just give me your thoughts on that?
Necessary quarterly. That's my take on it.
Mm, good answer. Good answer. Okay.
Yeah, 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 yeah.
Text heavy emails versus image heavy emails. Basically, what I'm trying to say here is text based versus image based.
Ooh, I mean, I know I was just talking about how important design is, but I love a good text-based email. Like, again,
Hmm.
not every send, but if you can mix in a text-based, every once in a while, like that is going to transform your campaign revenue or flow revenue.
Yeah. If you can sprinkle it in. Yeah. 100%. Okay. Kind of a strange one. I figured it'd be interesting. SMS at 9 a.m. or 9 p.m.
Mm. Depends on the brand, honestly, but I'd
Yeah.
say a big skew would be 9 a.m. 9 p.m. is a little late.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's a lot of these are kind of like loaded questions because it again just depends on the brand. Like I mean, for example, like brands top of mind. If you're a brand selling baby products or something like, and we've had experience. Like if you're a brand selling baby products, your ideal customer is not a baby. It's a it's a parent of a baby, and a lot of
Yeah,
those brands are actually finding better success sending at like 8 9 p.m. when their parents are like putting the baby to bed and they're winding down for the night. So yeah,
yeah.
kind of load. I'm asking you loaded questions here, but anyways, um, okay, this one's easy. I know what you're gonna say. I just wanted to ask this: double opt-in, yes or no?
Oh, hell nah. No. No, get that out of here. That's
Yeah,
disgusting.
get yeah, double
That
opt-in, man.
I
If you
don't think we talked on that, but that is like if you're an e-commerce brand owner and you are getting any traffic to your pop-up form, like please go into the list, go into settings and make sure double opt-in's turned off. Like that will murder your brand.
Yo, I don't know how we didn't talk about that. If you're an e-commerce brand watching this video right now, pause the video, go to Klaviyo, go to your main list, go to settings, go to consent, and turn off double opt-in. Make sure you don't have it on because that's like murdering brands. Like, I mean, we've doubled submission rates by literally just clicking a button. Like, I mean, so
Yeah,
yeah,
yeah, yeah.
no,
No, it is terrible. We've seen some large brands doing that, like large
yes,
brands, like
yeah,
$1 million a month brands with double opt-in. And just
yeah,
just just to paint the whole picture, like if your welcome flow is doing $100,000 per month and you have double opt-in on, if you turn double opt-in off, you're gonna get at least a 50 to maybe 150% boost in the amount of welcome flow actual deliveries you get,
yeah,
which is
yeah.
going to like
It's like
turn you at 100,000 a month to like 200 or 300,000.
yeah, literally. It's literally like just like a choke point, you know? It's just butchering things. So yeah,
Yeah.
okay. Um and then last one, which Klaviyo flow would you marry and which would you kill? So basically if you had to pick one Klaviyo flow, what would it be?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Well, I think I'd get married to the welcome flow for sure. For sure. That's all reliable.
Yeah.
Like, you know why?
Yeah.
Because it makes
Why?
the most money. It makes the most money. The welcome flow,
Damn, so you're a gold
I
digger. So
want to
you're a
get
gold digger.
I want to get married to a nice juicy welcome flow with a really good pop-up attached to it. Like that's what I want.
That's what you want. Okay.
And,
That's what you're
right,
looking
and so
for
that's
in
what
a
I want.
partner.
That I'm looking for a partner that's got like a really stable, income, or in this case, just amount of traffic going through it. What Klaviyo flow would I kill? was that the other part of the question?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Um, I would kill a cross sell flow.
Yeah, dude. Get those out of here.
I
Nah,
mean,
they're
and to
good,
be
but
fair, like we build cross sell flows for companies, but like oftentimes I see a cross sell flow where it just really isn't like making sense, and it's just like a
yeah.
lot of emails. Like you got the post purchase communication still going, you got Shopify order confirmations and shipping confirmations, and then you're trying to sell them a cross sell product. It's like
Yeah.
just
Yeah.
include it in some of the post purchase emails and get the cross sell thing out of here. Like that's just too much.
Yeah, for sure. And it goes back to the point of like sometimes it's not better to be more complicated, you know? So yeah,
Hmm.
we see that all the time. But yeah, no, that's all the questions I had. That was really fun. We should do more of these, and I hope you
Yeah,
guys watching got some value. So yeah, what I guess last question, like what's next for Social Scout? Like what are we looking to do?
man. No, this was fun.
What's our
So we should
mission?
definitely
What's our
do.
mission, I would say.
Yeah, no. I'm excited for what's to come. And before I get into the mission, we should definitely do more of these. Like 100% Black Friday one. Just like there's
Yeah.
so much stuff that like I had on the tip of my tongue. I'm just like I'm not going to talk about this because they'll
Yeah.
make this podcast or interview like another 15 minutes long. But anyway,
Yeah. Yeah, I was gonna say
you
we
know
could
it.
even like we can get way more technical too with certain things. Like we should have a
Mhm.
podcast where we just go into like one topic, like in depth, you know, for those people who are like more
Yeah.
technical. Yeah.
Yeah, for sure, for sure. But you know, what's next for us? I mean, your goals and you know what you're doing is totally different from mine, but you know, we're growing very fast as an agency, and the most important thing on my horizon is finding top talent. You know,
Mm-hmm.
uh, getting the best email marketers on the planet in Social Scout is the most important thing.
Yep.
You know, because we never want the quality to be anything that's not exceptional. We are and will be the most premium email marketing service or one of the most premium email marketing services out there. And
Mm-hmm.
it starts with the amazing people on our team. Everyone on our team is an A player, A plus email marketer. They oftentimes just have the instincts to know exactly what to do without even, you know, talking
Mm-hmm.
to one of us. And on top of that, you know, getting these top talents into the company as fast as possible because, you know, we oftentimes sometimes have to delay an onboarding because we never want to compromise the
Yeah.
quality of the service we deliver.
Yeah. 100%. And I think when it comes to talent, like we are pretty selective when it comes down to it. Like we'll do a lot of interviews, like to find like for example an account executive, like a killer account executive. Like we're not just hiring anybody, you know, and we've talked a lot about that. That's not really what we aim to do here. Like there's a lot of agencies that just grow really fast and we're growing really fast, but then that kind of comes at the expense of like quality and like fulfillment becomes kind of like a mess, you know.
Mhm.
So yeah, no,
Yeah,
we've got
no,
that on
just
lock.
working with great, you know, recruiting agencies is something that we utilize kind of on the operations side to like actually go out and recruit the top talent.
Hmm.
What these people do is they screen, you know, email marketers all over the world. They, you know, have initial interviews with them and they pass them over to us for further interviews. And even
Hmm.
then, you know, we're very selective in who we choose from that pool. So it's, you know, it's a slow process, but honestly, we have no interest in speeding that up.
Yeah,
Just
yeah.
keeping the quality high.
Mm-hmm. 100%. 100%. Awesome. Well, yeah, sounds good. We'll be talking. We talk all the time. But yeah, until next time,
Yeah.
I hope you guys like that. If you guys want any like specific topics, throw them in the comments and we'll make videos on them. But yeah, sounds good, guys. Peace.